garage. I'm Aaron. Since the last video on the crew cab short bed swap, we got a bunch of little stuff tied up on the truck, got it out of the shop, got the shop all cleaned up, and we got the bed brought in. So because we put the lowering shackles on the rear, this brace right here in the bed has to be relieved so that the shackle and the spring can go up into it on both sides. Because if you don't relieve it, it comes up and hits the bed and it doesn't allow your suspension to flow like it's supposed to, and it won't let it sit down as far as it needs to. So luckily I've got other trucks sitting around out here to take measurements off of, since this isn't mounted, and it's a lot easier to stand it up and cut it like this than it is to try to do it with it attached to the frame. So I took some measurements off of another truck I got, and I know where I need to cut it. So I'm gonna come in here and clean up all this rust and mud and paint and everything off of this bed, this rail here, so that I can get a clean mark on it. And then I'll video that so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll measure it and mark it, and then we'll go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so I just got a little, I call it a wizard wheel. It's a little air grinder. And I'm just gonna, you don't wanna actually grind in it, compromise the metal a whole lot. I'm just cleaning off all the rust and dirt and debris and everything that's on here to get the clean metal. So just gonna go ahead and buzz this out real quick. We'll do the other side too. Okay, I know from my measurements that I took off the other truck that I have to, the way I measured in from the end of the brace to where the end of the spring bolt is, and then I measured the end of the spring bolt on the other side, and I came in. So with my measurements, I need to come in 11 1/4 off of this, and then come in 17 for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take this, mark it out, get it squared up, and then we'll cut it out. Okay, I got it marked. I'm going to get my cutoff wheel all set up. Another thing is, let me see if I can get you guys in here where I can show you what I'm talking about. So, up here on the top, or cutting into this, I don't want to go all the way through. It doesn't need to be relieved all the way. You can leave about a 1/2 inch off of this bend. So I'm going to come out and mark that about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 to a 1/2, somewhere in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark that there. And then when I cut it, I'll cut this first. Same thing on the bottom side, and then I'll cut this up to it. So I'll get that knocked out real quick, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, got both my pieces cut out here. Everything's pretty good. So I'm gonna go back to the wizard wheel, and I'm gonna go in and just clean off all the burrs and the rough edges and everything in my cutouts, and then we'll start making a template for what we need for a piece of metal to weld back in there to strengthen it back up. So just clean these up real quick, and then I'll show you how I make templates. Alright, so I got my pieces here that I cut out, and I got some cardboard here. So what I'm going to do is lay these down here like this, to where I can fold this up like so, and then same thing on the other end. And then I'll just trace it out, and then I can mark my bends, and I can take this piece of cardboard over, set it in the truck, and see if it fits right. And if everything fits good, then I can go ahead and transfer it onto metal, and then we can cut that out and slap it in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these up, and then I'll go over and I'll bring you guys back with me when I go to test fit them. All right, so I got my templates made. This is what I'm doing to reinforce it, just stiffen it up a little bit. They're not perfect, but I can get it made into metal and get it tacked in there, and then I can come back with the grinder and just clean it up before I finish weld it. This one fits a little bit better than that one does. Sorry, bad video. I'm trying to hold the camera and show you, but it fits in there good. I'll just have to clean it up a little bit, but that ain't no big deal. So I'll take these now, trace them out onto a piece of metal. I've got some metal over here. It's the same thickness as the pieces I cut out. Cut this out of the back of a cab that went to the scrap yard, so it's actually the same metal. So I'll go ahead and trace that onto there. I'll cut those out and we'll get them bent up, and then I'll show you when we start putting them in. Okay, so I got my pieces cut out and cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and just dry fit them in here real quick. I decided to go with, instead of bending it and trying to make it fit, I decided to cut it down into 3 pieces. It'll be easier to get it in there. So that piece fits pretty good. I can burn that in. So I'll get the welder set up. I'll come in, tack it in a couple places. I'll take my side pieces and test fit them, tack them in a couple places, and if everything goes good, I'll go around and weld it, and then we can clean it all up and make it look nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going, and I'll let y'all watch. Alright, I went ahead and laid the bed down because it was easier to get to it to do the welding. So I got that all welded up. So now I'm gonna take a little grinder and smooth it all out, and then we'll sand it all clean. And so I'll just do that real quick, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. All right, I got both sides all ground up, cleaned up, primed and painted. Turned out pretty good. So we're gonna flip this bed over, and then we'll go out and get the truck, back it up, and set the bed on it. So I'll do a time lapse of that for you. So we'll see you in a second. Okay, the bed's all on and bolted down. Next thing we're gonna do is install the taillights. This bed didn't have any taillights on it when I got it. I had these laying around. I got tons of square body parts, and they were all dingy and dirty and old, so I just took some VHT aluminum paint and cleaned them up good and painted them with the silvery. Kind of dingy here with the light, but it's actually pretty bright. So we're going to take them, put them on. We'll put all new light bulbs in it, and then we'll plug our wiring in that we shortened. It should just plug right in. All the connectors are already there. So we're going to do that and see if we got lights. All right, we got the new taillights all installed and new bulbs, and painted the buckets. Must have done the wiring right because they work. So they look pretty good. We're gonna mount the bumper, and then we're gonna pull that driver's side door off and fix the speaker hole. The door that we're putting on there, somebody cut a 6x9 hole in the bottom of it. The trim package on this truck doesn't have the carpet at the bottom that covers it. So I'm gonna take the bad door that's all beat up. I'll show you guys real quick. I don't know if I showed you this or not before, but this door is just hammered. Got to get a good angle on it. It's hammered bad. There's no fixing it. So I have another door that's real clean on the outside, but it has a speaker hole cut down in here. And this door inner shell is perfect. It's not rusty, not cut up, nothing like that. So I'm gonna take and cut a pattern out of the other door and then trace it onto that door, cut the piece out, and then I'll weld the piece in kind of like I did when I relieved for the leaf springs on this one. So I'm gonna get everything ready, put the bumper on. I have to go in there and I'm gonna take and clamp the bumper in place, and then I'll drill holes through it. I figured that was the easiest thing to do. I didn't want to take chances measuring off a different truck or something, since everything I got out there to measure is 1/2 ton. This 3/4 ton. The frame thickness and depth is a little bit different. So I'm just gonna put the bumper that we're using up there and I'll clamp it on, and then I'll drill holes while it's on the truck. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all that stuff set up, and then I'll do a little time lapse while I install the bumper. All right. I don't know if y'all can hear me. It's pretty windy and nasty out here, but I spent 30-40 minutes trying to figure out how to film putting this bumper on, and everything I had to do was up underneath the bed, and there just wasn't enough room for me and a camera and tools I needed to do it. So I went ahead and got it put on, and looks pretty good. Got the truck back sitting outside. So pretty happy with the way it's turning out. So now we're gonna head back in the shop and get started on that driver's door. I told you I was gonna take that original beat up door off of the truck, and usually this is the door that's going on the truck. Somebody, I don't even want to say they cut a speaker hole into it. It's more hackery, but ants crawling all over this thing. It's been sitting outside. So I was going to cut a patch panel out of that door that was on the truck to patch this one, but I wanted to move it outside so I had more room in the shop to work on it. And I had this door laying around outside also, and it's all rusted out on the bottom and it's hacked up a little bit, so that way I can leave that door on the truck while it sits outside. So I'm gonna set up the other camera and get started. I'm gonna cut a panel out of this door where we need to, and the reason I'm doing that, instead of just getting a piece of metal and putting it in there, is because there's this like bead rolled ridge in here, and to try to duplicate that without a bead roller, just bending metal and put it back in, is going to be really hard. And I want to make it look as much as possible like there's not a patch in the door. So I can line this up, get it in there, weld it in, and after we body work it, you shouldn't even be able to tell I did anything to it. So that's the plan. Set the camera up, we'll cut this out, and then we'll tear that other door down and get ready to start patching it in. The benefit of this door having the hole cut in it already is I can feel behind here and see where that inner structure is at. So I'm just gonna, I can feel this, the inner structure is right close to the edge of this hole. So I can take this bead roll and set it right in this one and line it up here. And I see that it covers everything that I need to cover. All the holes, the big hole and the holes where they screwed the speaker in. So I can take this, set it over there, and I'll trace out around it. And I can see where my inner structure is. I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut this whole piece out, take it off the inner structure like I did on the other door, and then I'll go ahead and put this whole piece back in this door. So that's what we're going to do. We'll mark it out, I'll cut it, and then we'll start fitting it. So when I mark my lines on here, obviously I trace the outside of the new panel that's going in. So what I want to do now is I want to cut right on the inside of my line. And by doing that, I'll have the thickness of my cutoff wheel blade where that panel should just sit down in this panel, and that'll be perfect to get it where I want it and weld it back in place. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, and remember this brace is here. It starts about right here. So I'm gonna go real light and make sure I only go through this outer skin when I cut that, because then I'll go ahead and take my chisel and my hammer and pop the spot welds off. And then I can kind of hammer and dolly that inner structure a little bit if I need to, if I twist it up too bad. And then we won't compromise that inner structure, and we can lay this back on top of it, and everything will still have its normal strength and whatnot. I'm just going to cut it up and keep going. Okay, I was able to get that cut out without tearing up the inner structure. I didn't even really bend it. There's still a little bit of metal on it. I got to bring out my wizard wheel anyways. I can clean the rest of those tack welds off, and I can clean off the little bit of metal that was left on there, and then I'll go ahead and clean up about 1/2 inch all the way around it. And I'll clean up 1/2 inch all the way around my patch panel so that I have good clean metal to weld to. That's what we're going to do now. Alright, I got it all cleaned up. You seen I did a little bit of hammer and dolly work down here. There was like a dent in the door and it was pushing this down. So I got that all smoothed out again. This was a little bit of a low spot, so I got it raised up. So you notice when I was grinding, I didn't put a lot of pressure down, and I didn't stay in one spot for too long. You don't want to put a lot of heat into this metal, because it'll warp it. And then when you body work it and put some paint on it, it'll look like, you know, a rolling wave in the ocean. So I'm going to do the same thing when I weld it. I'm going to kind of start over here, put a couple tacks, put a couple tacks, put a couple tacks. I can get my magnets out of the way. And I'm probably going to have a blow nozzle hooked up to the air compressor, so I can put a couple tacks, and then kind of let them sit a second, blow them down with some air, cool them off, so we don't get too much heat in it and it doesn't warp. So I'm just going to have to go around and spot. It takes a long time. You guys, it'll take about 10 seconds for you guys to watch. I'll speed it up. So I'm going to go ahead and start welding it in. Okay, I got my patch panel all welded in. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not a body guy. I don't claim to be a body guy. I just try to do everything myself. I might not have done this the proper way or the way somebody else would have done it, but this is the way I've seen it done. This is the way I know how to do it. So next thing I got to do, I got to come in here kind of like I welded it, just really slow, and keep cooling it down and take my time and grind all this smooth. And then I can already see I got a couple highs and lows here. I can get in from the back side with my dolly, and might have to shrink a little bit, hammer it out, but that's the gist of it. I got it all tacked in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start grinding, and then I'll update you guys after I get done with that. Okay, so I got all my grinding done. I got the whole area around it cleaned up. Once again, like I said, it's not that pretty. I'm not a body guy, but I like to try anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some Bondo now, and it's all pretty smooth. There's one or two little low spots, but not that bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some Bondo and get my first skim coat of Bondo on there and see what we can do with it. All right, I got my Bondo all done, got it all sanded out, and I put a couple coats of filler primer on there so I can let that dry overnight, and I can come out tomorrow and do one final sand on it. It's not perfect, sorry, I'm making you guys look kind of close. I can see it better through the camera than I can with my naked eye. But it don't look too bad. It's not perfect, but for somebody that doesn't do much body work and doesn't know much about it, I'm happy with it. So We'll go ahead and let that filler primer dry overnight. I'll lightly sand it with like some, I don't know, 1000 grit or 400 grit or something tomorrow. And then I'll just shoot some white or tan or cream or whatever color spray paint I got on it. It's close to the truck. It's all gonna have to be matched anyways. And then we'll put it on the truck. Okay, I got the patch in the door all done. This door, it looks like somebody just hacked a mirror on there in the wrong spot or something, I don't really know. But I took measurements off of the old door on the truck and another door that had the style mirror that we're using to get it right. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark it out, and then I'll drill holes in here, put in nut zerts, and then we'll just bolt the mirror on, and this door will be ready to go on the truck. Okay, for those of you that have never seen this before, this is a nut zert tool. It's got these little, basically a threaded rivet that goes on the end of it. One of the best tools I've ever bought. You take this, push it down in your hole, and then you just crimp it like a rivet, and then you just take and unscrew this. Then you got a threaded hole in there. This is the same way the factory did it to put these mirrors on. The ones from the factory are a little bit bigger and thicker, but that's the same hole. I actually took the bolts out of the other door on the truck to put in this one. So their nut zerts were just, I had a bigger collar on them, but these will be fine. Alright, that's it for that. We're gonna bring the truck back in, we'll tear the old door off, and then I'll go through the process of how I changed the doors to make them easy to line up and stuff. So we'll get it in here and do that. Okay, when I take these doors off, I always leave the hinge on the truck. Makes it a lot easier to align the door when you get done. Because the cab side of the hinge is already aligned, so it's easier to put it on there and line it up. Not only that, but the hinges are a pain in the butt to get off. They got a bolt that comes through the inside behind the dash, and you can barely get to it. Just makes it easier all the way around. Alright, we just got back from taking it on its initial voyage, and she did a good job. So I'll just run over it real quick. Did a bunch of tune-up stuff on the engine. Changed the carburetor. The customer brought over, my buddy brought over the air cleaner to, he likes that air cleaner, put that on there. We got the door and both mirrors changed. The door alignment's pretty good, it closes all right. I didn't put a whole lot of time into making sure it was perfect because this thing's gonna get bodywork and paint here soon by someone else. So I got it on there to where it'll open and close nice, and that's all we're really worried about. So doors on. Everything turned out pretty good as far as I'm concerned, looks good. So we've got a 83 crew cab, half-ton short bed. There's the door I repaired. Looks pretty darn good to me. So with all that, that's gonna do it for this video. Please like, share, subscribe. Helps me out a lot. I appreciate all the new subscribers that we have. You guys are great. I'm getting a lot of comments. I like that. I try to comment back to everybody that I can. I read every comment that comes in. And we are now over 400 subscribers. And if you watched the last video, at the end of the video, I said when we get to 500, I'm gonna do a giveaway. A couple t-shirts, couple stickers. And the way I'm gonna do that is you have to be subscribed to the channel. And when we hit 500, I'm gonna make a short video or make a post that we hit 500 and that we're starting the giveaway. So I'm going to, once I make that video, then you have to comment on the video to be eligible to win the giveaway. So I'll do all that, and then everybody that comments, I'll put a number on each comment in the order that they come in, and I'll go on the random number site and have it pick a number, or 5 numbers or 10 numbers. I'm not necessarily decided how much stuff I'm gonna give away yet, but it's gonna be a few t-shirts and a few stickers for sure. So subscribe for a chance to get that, and then I'll explain more details as we get closer to that number. So other than that, that's gonna do it for this one. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.